Hello, and welcome to a very special episode of Conversations with Taz. I am your host today because today is not the day for Taz to be the host. It is my turn, and I am going to be interviewing my lovely co host, Taz J over here, Syntaz on TikTok, and I am Dion Phoenix on TikTok. Right now, Death of Dion. So if you see my page is gone, don't worry. I'm trying to appeal it. Anyways. So, Taz, what is a day in the life of Taz like?
Woo. A day in the life of Taz. Well, I get up extremely early in the morning. That's when I tackle the majority of the work for my particular business, and I own and operate an IT consulting business.
Mm-hmm.
From there, about 8:05, one of my tiny humans comes with me every day, and we have breakfast together. Then I start. I have a class that I take via the ACLU that I have to do. Still working on my book, so I dedicate some time to working on that, and a lot of research and a lot of committee meetings and board meetings for advocacy and change, and also working on legislation to take wellness checks out of the hands of police.
Okay, so I have a question about um you said that you are currently studying with the ULC. I
Oh,
can't
the
speak.
ACLU.
The ACLU. And
Yeah.
what is your course of study there currently?
Um, Actually, I have my binder down here. Um, just because I'm very passionate about police reform and things like that, I am currently learning about racism and policing from historical context to data that has been collected since 2013.
And why are you doing that? I mean, like that sounds like a weird question, but why are you doing that?
Well, because I am so adamant and passionate about police reform, and I'm working, there is one of the shows with one of the actually the woman who brought me on to this project to work on taking wellness checks out of the hands of police and establishing a whole nother unit that would help with that and that would handle that.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured if I'm going to work for police reform, I need to understand the policing in the United States inside and out. Because in writing this legislation, I don't want to, for lack of a better term, half ass it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to
And
start writing this bill and then once we're get to the point where we can put it in the
right.
hands of Congress and Senate, go, oh crap, this should have been in there. Oh crap, we didn't think about this. Oh, this should have been a part of the training. So I just want to be as thorough as possible.
Okay, so I'm seriously curious. Everyone calls you Taz, myself included. Does anybody actually know why you're called the Taz, Manian Devil? Or Candyman Taz?
No. One of my older cousins way back when gave me the nickname of Taz from the actual Looney Tunes character. And when I asked him, like,
Mm,
why do you keep calling me Taz and why is this sticking with people? And he said, look at Taz. The character is often misrepresented or looked at as the villain because Taz is hyper. Um, and Taz is full of energy, but Taz is the most caring out of all of the Looney Tunes and the most protective. So that is why I'm called
mhm.
Taz.
Okay, so basically you're feisty when you're protective, but very basically just a mama bear when you're being a caring person, basically.
I am I am actually a big softie and a huge teddy bear. My brothers and my children, and especially my dad, would tell everyone that I am probably the most sensitive person that you'll ever meet. And things do affect me deeply when they do affect me. And I think that's also why I'm so passionate about the projects I choose to get involved in and the projects that I've been very fortunate to be asked to be a part of. Because at the end of the day, I do want people protected. I want
Hmm.
small soapbox moment here. I want there to be a day where black and brown men, especially, can leave the house and get back home and not be stressed or riddled with anxiety the whole time they've stepped outside their door.
Hmm. And of course, women as well. Of course,
Yes.
correct.
Hmm.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I have to ask. I know that in social justice, you make a lot of enemies. Have you
Hmm.
made a lot of enemies?
Um, I
I
have,
mean,
but
it's
I have been on the more, this is going to sound weird. I've been on the more fortunate side of it, where have there been people uh, come against me over the years? Yes. Have I had death threats? Yes. Have I been places and people have thrown things at me literally? Yes. Have I been called names? Yes. But there are people far more visibly notarized than me that have had it a lot worse. So, yes, I have, but I've been very fortunate that it's just been a smaller amount of people. And for me, one thing that I can count as a true blessing from the ancestors is that anytime someone has tried to come against me, they generally start with people who know me, so it doesn't go anywhere, and I am highly favored in my close circle, which because you are a part of that close circle, we protect each other.
right.
And if I get knocked down and for that moment I'm wounded, that circle swoops in and makes sure nobody penetrates until that wound heals.
Mm,
And I do count that as a great blessing of this side effect of getting people who toss out hate. It further bonds you to people. It does.
right. True that. I have a question for you. You said something about you're highly in the process of taking a USAU. I can't speak. ALCU. I said that right.
ACLU.
Did I say that? Yeah, ACLU, about police reform, and we had a great comment in the thing that's. I'm actually more like Eyes of the Wolf 77 says I'm more about abolishing them than reforming them, and I can agree with that. So, what is your stance on abolishing versus reform?
I actually have thought about this a lot, and the people who are within this core committee that I work with, that's ultimately the goal, but we realize that's not going to be an overnight process. So step by step, dismantling it
Hmm.
seems to be the best course of action. And when people go, "Oh, what happens if you defund the police?" The police have been defunded before. That's how we got EMTs and paramedics. They took that responsibility out of the hands of the police force and put it into better hands.
Okay, so we have a question from the comments, and it comes from Joe Henry. Do you find that some people or keyboard warriors try to falsely discredit your work or you because of your actual activism?
There have been instances of that. There's been instances with that regarding every activist that I've gotten to know, whether personally or just getting to know about them, because I
Hmm.
respect the work and the due diligence that they do. So it's not uncommon, it's not unheard of. But yes, people don't want to do the work a lot of times, so they try to discredit the person. I mean, look at what J. Edgar Hoover did to the Black
Right.
Panther Party for protection, um, and orchestrated the murder of Fred Hampton. Look at what they tried to do to Dr. King and tried to disparage his name, claiming that he was everything but the man that he actually was. Because when you're doing the work, they can't tear apart your work because that's out there. It's being seen. Also, when you take down somebody's name, you hinder the forward motion of a movement. And it's throughout history, it's going to continue to happen. I'm one cog in the machine. What a lot of people don't realize is whether you take me down or another female activist or male activist, there's 250 more where we came from. And there's thousands who sit back and watch us. There's hundreds that we've mentored. It keeps going. It's that perpetual motion, because at the end of the day, the vast majority of people want equity, want change. If that wasn't true, we wouldn't be sustainable.
So I guess I want to iterate something about this specific subject, and I guess we're gonna call it the um, the mania devil segment of the show, and that's where we get to the nitty gritty. So, Taz, in the past, you have done shows, beautiful shows with amazing panelists that are focused on women's rights
Mhm.
and also focused on awareness of certain situations. And one of the stories that we came across was that you did a pride party,
Mhm.
and it had all different parts of the LGBTQIA in it, plus, I should say. And it was an amazing feel. So in that show, I'm I'm just wondering, for those people who don't know, are you a part of the LGBTQIA or are you an ally?
Oh, I'm queer as hell.
Queer as hell. Okay, I'm gonna borrow that. All right. The other thing that I really want to know, like, some people may not have noticed it who don't follow you on TikTok, but girl,
What?
can we talk about that? Every time we see you, almost every other week, you got a different hairdo.
Oh,
You keep your stuff laid back, don't you?
yes, I work hard so I can treat myself.
Right, 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 right. Um, just a reminder to the people in the audience: if you have any questions that I have not asked during the duration of the show, I will definitely be highlighted, and I would go ahead and ask Taz. So, and if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and ring that bell. And I have a so pressing on, since we're in Skid Row, you have a presence when it comes to talking about Black issues, but you yourself have talked about being adopted.
Mhm.
And how has that affected your upbringing and your outviews on life?
Well, one, let me preface this a little bit. Because
Mhm.
people will be like, I've seen pictures of her and her mom, they look exactly alike. It was a single parent adoption. When my
Mhm.
mother got married, the man that you all hear me talk about, refer to as my daddy, um,
Mhm.
I take pride in saying that he chose me. My mother
Mhm.
passed away in 2008. Was there a bit of me that was terrified that I was going to lose a whole side of my family? And this man could have, for all purposes, just agreed to the adoption to placate my mother. And when she died, I was like, is he going to walk away? And he hasn't. But I would be remiss if I didn't say that there are family members of mine that like to point out the fact that I'm adopted, that like to make that separation, that like to tell me
Mhm.
I'm not a real this, I'm not a real that. Um, until they find out that I'm doing something amazing. And then it's like, oh, yeah, that's my niece. Oh, yeah, that's my cousin. But it was difficult at times growing up, because there were times where I was living that nightmare that you hear about in movies, where there was a separation. I was treated differently by certain people. I was not treated as equally and as equitably as other family members.
Mhm.
There were times that if one of my cousins did something, I got the punishment for it. because there's no way a real blah 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 would do that. It had to be me.
Right. And I'm sorry, I'm sneaking in another question. And
Mhm.
I don't want to make the audience or anyone or you think that I'm interrupting you, but I want to press on. The act of the of TikTok. What brought you there? Was it for social justice reasons, or was it like just for fun? For fun?
Um, Honestly, no. Actually, it was a friend of my son who would pop up from time to time to like grab a book or talk to me about different things politically or about history. Surprise, surprise, somebody wants to talk to me about history.
Hmm.
He brought up the fact that TikTok was a thing. And then I had two really good friends of mine that kept sharing with me funny videos from TikTok. So I'm like, you know what? I'll go on TikTok. Probably won't even make any content. This will be my one social media platform where no social justice, no family stuff, just me just having a good time. And this is right before the whole COVID lockdown thing. And then I think it's a funny situation regarding one of my neighbors late at night. And I chose to post about it and talk about it because I thought it was funny. And I called her my Karen neighbor. She's since moved
Hmm.
away. Um, and for some reason, that video kind of blew up. And then George Floyd was murdered. And I realized everything about me is social justice and advocacy and educating people. And the more I saw people with misinformation, not knowing the true history of this country, I had to speak up. And I haven't stopped since.
And I feel like this resonates with a lot of people in the world. But I'm going to ask you this question. Do you feel like when George Floyd was killed, your spirit was called by your ancestors?
Honestly, yes, because let me explain to you, well, let me explain to the audience this, because you know this about me. I don't watch a lot of TV. I can go days and never turn my television on. Um, I do get like news alerts and stuff like that. For whatever reason, I was on one floor of my house and my phone and other devices were on another floor. And I was like, you know what? It's been a long day. I'm going to lay down and take a nap. And Frenchie was here with me. And I couldn't go to sleep. I couldn't go to sleep. And I looked at him and I said, can you turn the TV on? Because he's a TV watcher in the
Hmm.
house, but he's not a big news uh, watcher. He likes to watch anything that'll just take his mind off the day to day. And he looked at me and he said, you're asking to watch TV? And I said, yeah. I said, but I don't know what I want to watch. And he turned to the news and it was all over everything.
Hmm.
And you know how you hear like some ministers or even like larger celebrities say that there was that one pivotal moment where they knew what they were supposed to do. They knew the position that they were supposed to take.
Right.
That's how I felt. And I remembered something that my granny said to me way back when I was a small child, that you have to stand for something or you're going to fall for everything. And it was in that moment that I got it. I got what she meant. And I was like, if this is the hill I
And
die on, this is the hill I die on.
and that's true. And I have a question. Being as like I've already asked you in part of the show, like you made some enemies? Have you had some dire interaction with the police because of your activism or because of things you have done?
On a couple of occasions, yes, I have had to, as much as I'm not the biggest fan of the police, I do understand that there are good cops and that there are times that to protect myself, my family, other people, that yes, I will have to, excuse me, utilize the police. And yes, there have been times just because it came down to a safety issue. And I do spend a great deal of time with my children and my tiny humans. And anybody who knows me knows that my family is the most important thing to me in this world.
Right.
I don't
Right.
care. I could lose everything tomorrow. And actually, there have been some times where I've had to start over at ground zero because I've lost everything. But
True.
as long as I still have them, and for those watching, I know I talked about my close friend circle, but let me just interject real quick. I don't, and just Dion knows this, I don't really call my friends friends. If you get close to me, you are my family. So that's why I keep saying family. So as long as I have my family, I'm good. I know I can bounce back and I'll be good, but I will use every bit of the extent of the law to ensure their safety, even above mine.
Well, I want to make this very clear to the audience and very clear to you. Um, I have a neighbor, and I know this is very off topic, but it leads into what you're saying. I have a neighbor who's African American and white. Um, that's what they, because they're non-binary, likes to be addressed as, because, and I respect that. And we've become very good friends. So sometimes I'll say, "What's up, cuz?" And by saying "What's up, cuz," it's not because we're very close. And it's not because we're blood. My grandmother always taught me that we all descended from two people on this earth. So every person is at least 1/100,000th your cousin. Just gonna be
Mhm.
honest with it. So like, it's not that far off base to call someone you're close to family. And I have a question for you
Mhm.
based off that knowledge that we were sharing. Has that ever struck you? Have you ever had a situation with family? I said we were in Mania Row.
Mhm.
Have you ever had a situation with family where it struck your heart to the core during this journey of social activism?
Yes, I've had to cut people off. I've had to cut off people who actually do share my DNA.
Hmm.
Um, I understood and learned a long time ago why the Honorable Harriet Tubman carried a gun, because there are people who want the end result of the fight for justice, but they don't want to fight, and they will say and do some heart wrenching, despicable things. Excuse me, to you. There are also people who are, as Consciously says, lost in the sauce. And it has devastated me. There have been times I've been at family gatherings and dinners and heard people like backing things and refusing education and telling me, oh, you're just doing this because you want attention. I'm like, what attention am I getting? The vast majority of what I do, no one knows that I'm doing it. So it's not about attention. If I wanted attention, I would have never stopped modeling. That will give you all the attention you can desire. But yeah,
Either
it
the Wolf says, "What do you feel is the difference between an activist and an abolitionist?"
once again, this is just my thoughts. Please, nobody take this as the gospel and start running around going, but Taz said, please don't. For me, an activist is actively looking and searching for change to invoke equity. An abolitionist just wants that one particular system abolished and then they move on. An activist never moves on from the overall goal of equity?
So I have a quick question. Everybody probably doesn't get it, but who are the tiny humans? What's a
Those are my
tiny human? Are
G.
you talking about? Are you like tiny humans? What's that?
um, okay. Well, this is my second round of tiny humans. I started saying tiny humans when my children were small because I kind of
Mm-hmm.
they get a say so. They get a vote. We can talk. They have their own personalities. But my current set of tiny humans, they're my Gigi babies. Those are my oldest son's children. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's Tiny Muscalini, Muscalini's assistant, and the tiny gentleman.
Okay, so we Muscalini, wasn't that a tyrant?
She is. Have you not seen her? She is my bully. Like, she gives me the business, and then it's hard to like say something to her because she acts like me and she looks like me. So there are times we just sit there and look at each other like, why? And now she has a new word. So every time I'm like, why did you do that? And she goes, the shade.
The shade.
Yes.
The shade. Ooh. Oh dear. Okay. Anyway. So I have a serious question, and one comes from misbehaving one. Um, I had a daughter tell me, "Why do I watch negative things?" I told her it's because I want to make a difference and help others. Misbehaving. Can I direct that to Taz and see why? Why do you watch negative things?
I watch, look at, and research everything. Um, because to truly understand the good, you have to know the bad, and you have to not ignore the bad so that you know what you're up against and what needs to be tackled and rectified. I cannot, just because it may make me uncomfortable, stick my head in the sand, so to speak. Because if I'm going to fight for change, I need to know what needs to be changed. I need to know where the roots started. Just like I've watched so many documentaries and read so many things. And when I say I read, it's not just books. Like, I've been known to like
Mm-hmm.
go to the library and go to the microfiche area and pull up newspaper reports and stuff
Taz,
that you can't even
Taz,
get on there. But
Taz,
you have
can
to
I
know
ask
what
you
to
a
change.
question?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Hmm.
So some of y'all don't know this about Taz, but let's see it real quick.
Oh,
Taz, where's
Jesus.
your bookshelf? Where's your bookshelf?
It's
Where's your
upstairs.
bookshelf?
It's upstairs.
And on these books, what is throughout these books?
Actually, I just got another set of them, but hold on, I'll show. I just fresh set, fresh set. Hold on, my headset wants to keep falling off today, but do I? Oh, here's the ones that are already open. But I get these sets, and this is about to fall off because I use it so much, of tabs,
Mm-hmm.
and generally, ah, my headset today doesn't want to stay on. When I'm reading a book, you know that I'm reading a book because yeah, it's yeah.
So, for those of you who don't know, a lot of the people who, like myself, who talk to her every day, we call her the queen of the notes. So, if I was ever going to go back to school and I need some notes taken, I'm going to come up with the money and I'm just going to be like, Taz, I need an outline for this book. And
Well,
I'm going to even ask her. I'm going to even ask her, have you
like
already read the book?
like here for the book I just showed you, parts 1 through 4 for 400 souls. These are the notes outside of the book. My handwritten notes. And if something is referenced, like, oh, yeah. Like if they reference an old text, I pull up the old text and I'm going to read it. I'm sorry, I just not just going to simply take it down. just like, wait a minute. Ah, here it is. When they brought up Queen and Zinga, yeah, and I read it, and you see all my notes all over here as well. And like I said, this is just part 1 through 4 of that book. It's not even all of my notes for the whole book.
So, Taz, I'm going to ask you a serious question. So, just more about some things that
Eyes of
people
the
may
wolf.
not
Yes,
know.
I am always taking notes. I
So,
don't want to
Taz,
forget, and I do use my notes to go back as reference material. That's why everything is explicitly labeled. So if I need to go back to say 1862, I can go back to 1862. If I need to go back to like where the police department first started, I can pull up that notes and yeah.
so Taz, since you read a lot, have you studied any different language other than English?
I know English, French, Spanish, German, Latin, a little bit of Arabic, and a little bit of Hebrew.
Okay,
Oh, and
so
some Cantonese.
I just want to know, um, how do you say I need to go to the bathroom in Latin?
Yeah, no,
No.
no, because I'm hearing. Oh no, like I would write it down for you, but hearing the pronunciation in my head, no, that will. Mm-mm.
Okay, so I'm gonna give
No, because
myself away.
I can see that being spliced from this going past it. I'm like, oh.
Okay, so I'm gonna give myself away. I do know a little bit of Latin, so I know how to say that in Latin. I'm just gonna let you guys know.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I know how I speak. I know how. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-mm.
Okay, so you say you speak a little bit of Cantonese. That's one language I don't speak.
And I mean very little.
Very little.
I've learned bits and pieces. Because of someone I used to date years ago. And that was
Hmm.
his first language, Cantonese. So I picked up on a little bit here and there. But my pronunciation, I try, I really do. But there's one woman pre-COVID was going to try to teach me Vietnamese, but for some reason my mouth will not allow me to just pronounce these words properly. But I'm still
Tess,
trying.
Tess, let me tell you something. I know this is a questionnaire about you, but it leads into that. My father was Mexican. His mother, native Venezuelan, and his father also native Mexico. Me, I can't roll my R's at all.
So you
Not
understand
one
my
bit.
struggle.
Not one bit. I can't roll my R's at all. Not one
Yeah.
bit. I try, but my lisp gets in the way. I can't roll my R's. I can't. So I can understand not being able to speak a certain dialect because of how you speak and how versus, but what I'm learning is you have to unlearn some things that you've already learned in order to speak
And that's the
certain other
process I'm trying to go
languages.
through now. Real quick, don't mean to interrupt you, but hey, Pepper, thank you for stopping through. Oh, no worries, love. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here, still in the living room.
So, I am glad that we got into this questionnaire bit because I've always wanted to ask you the question. And, some people may not know this, but I am a bit of a craftsman. This is a throwing knife that I made myself. What are some of the things that some people may not know that you do that is like a hobby of yours other than being queen of the notes?
um, I haven't done it in a while because, excuse me, I am still rebuilding a lot of things that I lost a few years ago. But since roughly about the age of 12, I have been into knitting and crocheting. I tried needlepoint, but I'm clumsy and kept pricking myself, so I figured that that was not the way for me to
Right.
go. Um, I can draw a little bit. I do it just as relaxation. And this might, for well, anybody who watched my journey of me putting together my office wouldn't be shocked by this. But actually, it's very relaxing for me to put things together. Most everything that had to be assembled here in my home, I put together. I actually do like that. I'm pretty handy and crafty that way. I even put together the stuff minus the large grill because I don't play with anything that has gas lines or anything like that. But everything that when I redid my patio, also.
Is there anything about where you live that is a particular interest to a lot of other certain types of I don't know, people who would be otherwise be called nerd or a geek?
Okay. I chose to live where I live. Like I'm talking the specific street because I can walk up my street and across the street and there's a comic book, and I mean a large comic book store
Wait,
because
wait,
I
wait,
love
wait, wait, wait.
comics.
Let me get this straight. You chose to live where you live because of a large comic book store.
Yes.
You chose to live there.
When I was in high school, my parents were looking for a new house, and they used to take us with them because they wanted us to be comfortable with any house that they chose. I kind of nudged my parents into getting one particular house because it was a short bus ride to a comic book store, and at that time, I was like the only girl that was like chilling in this comic book store. Yeah.
hmm Um, at this time in the show, I do want to remind everybody, if you haven't already, click the subscribe button and ring that bell. And also, if you are able to go to Taz's page, make sure you go into the link tree and spread the news about Stop Line 3. Also, I believe Pepper Fox is in the crowd. Hi, Pepper. How you doing?
Hmm.
Um, um,
Oh,
I
there's
want
also the
everybody.
link tree is attached here. There's also a link in there regarding justice for Jason Fox.
Mhm.
And there's a lovely petition to make sure people are not placed back into prison that were released because of the CARES Act. Because they're trying to send people back in, even though they were already deemed low to no risk. And we don't need, especially with the Delta variant of COVID, becoming super spreaders within penitentiaries.
All right. So while moving on, we're gonna get into the Tasmanian Devil part of the show, and I hope you are ready because it's gonna be an emotional ride. Okay.
Oh Lord. Okay. Let me drink some more water. Hold on. Okay, let's go.
In your life, have you? Everybody in life has done a lot of things that they are not proud of. What are some of the things that you have done that you're not proud of?
Well, there's one marriage I'm definitely not proud of. Um, and there was one relationship I am not proud to say, but I did stay in that relationship for far too long. And that is a relationship that was excessively abusive. And the reason why I stayed, and this is not a proud moment, but it is the truth, I honestly didn't think I could ask anyone for help because I honestly didn't think that I had anywhere that I could go. So, yes.
So I have a question. My next question leads more to be focused on, and you can please understand at any time during the Taz Devil questionnaire that you don't want to answer. It's okay. All right. What are some things in your life that have happened to you that you felt almost damaged you beyond repair?
There was a course of 3 years. Every February, I was losing a family member, particularly to cancer. I was also a part of being their caregiver. Each time they died, I felt like I was at fault because some way, somehow, I didn't do enough, that I didn't properly take care of them on my end. And that sent me to a very dark place for a very long time. Um, the abusive relationship that I spoke of, unfortunately for me, it wasn't the first one. It was the second one, and it came literally on the curtails of me getting out of the first one. And that one was more so devastating because I honestly thought that I had seen and picked up on and learned the warning signs, and I didn't. And I did have someone who I thought was close to me, and how they talked to me about that relationship, about what was going on, really shook my core because they were blaming me and acting as if, because I'm only 5'4" and a half, 120 pounds on a good day.
I wish
They
I
were
was that
acting,
skinny.
they were like acting as if I could just go toe to toe and box with this grown man and be okay. Um, and they tried to insinuate that the reason why I stayed for so long was because I was financially dependent upon them. And I'm like, no, one, this person had gone into my wallet and taken all of my debit cards,
Hmm.
kept a hold of my car keys, got access into my social media accounts, and started blocking people like clients and people that were being referred to me. And this person that was talking to me witnessed it, saw it, watched this person not want me to be around anyone, not wanting anyone to come and visit me. And I am not the type of person that can just 100% live in solitude. I cannot just be around one person all the time and just have that, just that one person to dictate to me and not talk to me. So, with that culmination, and yes, this relationship was going on at the same time that I was losing my mother. And for a while, it did damage me to the point where I would not trust. I'm not going to say that I couldn't. I would not. I would not let anyone get even remotely close to me because I was tired of pain.
Did that situation ever make you feel like it was you to blame for the situation that you were in?
Here's the thing with me, anytime anything negative happens in my life, I sit back and I start off blaming myself. And because I'm a thinker and I'm looking for logic in things, I kind of start cutting down on it. And anybody who's in my inner circle knows, because my inner circle will get 5,000 phone calls where I'm like, okay, when this happened, was I at fault? Did I do this? Am I a delusional person? Am I really running around here being a bitch to people? Because I will blame myself first. And then as logic and deductive reasoning kicks in, and my friends kick in and kick my butt, I kind of calm down from that.
Hmm. So I have a really, really profuse question to ask you. And I don't mean profuse, it's kind of like the audacity question.
Okay.
In this day and age, young women are often suggested to the worst kind of treatment. It could be young women, older women, children, have you ever in your life experienced those kind of situations?
Unfortunately, like the vast majority of women across the globe, yes. Then I'll leave it there.
Okay. So we are coming at the 45-minute mark, and if you're still with us, please understand the devil Tasmanian Devil's saga was basically so you can get to know that the nitty gritty of Taz. You've seen the funny Taz, you've seen the more serious Taz, you've seen the pain. What do you honestly want to know? Stop making me ask questions because I can be an asshole. So, and also don't forget, you want to ring that bell, subscribe, and share to your friends, share to people who might learn something from this young woman. And if there's no more questions for Taz, at today is Saturday, and by the way, happy late Friday the 13th to everyone. I think we have a comment here. But
Um,
I want to thank you all for joining. And I want to just sit here and I'm going to close off my camera and I'm going to let Taz speak with some final thoughts for the day. It was
you want
nice
me to
being
have
your
final thoughts of myself?
Yes,
No,
cuz you do.
no. Look, I
Okay,
agreed to
fine.
do
Okay.
this.
Okay. Okay, fine. I can do the final thoughts. So I want you to mute yourself. My final thoughts on this situation is that sometimes you have to get to know somebody for you to really know them. You have to ask hard questions and be able to receive it and understand that sometimes it's not exactly what you've heard. Sometimes some people can come across very brass, very strong, very on a certain level that looks like they're being evil, being wrong, being done to you. But at the same time, some of us are at different parts of our journey. And some of us may be going through things that you may be going through. You don't know if you don't ask, and you don't know if you don't get to know them. I am Dion Phoenix, and this has been Conversation with Taz, and I love you all.
And as always, thank you all for joining. And as I always say, each one reach one, each one teach one. Till next time.